Okay, three, two, one. Like, welcome back, everyone. Back with me and Brandon here. Our last video is out on YouTube for you guys to check out. That is our first ever. When did we record that? Kayak
It was before
December.
Corona for sure.
Yeah, well, way before Corona. I think it was before New Year's Eve. Cause like New Year's Eve, I was in your apartment editing that, but like yeah. So gara-gara ada Corona, jadi harus delay karena ada banyak yang harus di-post duluan mengenai Corona. Abis itu baru nge-post yang punya kita.
By the way, those who
Okay,
are watching, like this is just gonna be a casual, semi-casual conversation between me and Mira.
Yeah, well, as casual as it can be, right? It's like regarding the current events that has happened in the US and back home here. So yeah, okay, roll the intro, I guess. Hai, nama gue Wira, mahasiswa biologi di Radboud University Nijmegen. I spend my days in the lab or with the books. Gue dari kecil sudah terobsesi dengan dunia sains, tapi ternyata gue nggak sepinter yang gue kira. So I'm failing my courses. This is a way for me to show I'm not that stupid. Or it may show the other way around.
And I'm Brandon, a student from the Hanze University of Applied Sciences in Groningen. I'm a science enthusiast who's also interested in music, philosophy, and deep conversations. I'll talk your ear off about things I'm passionate about, so if you've got any similar interests, prepare to go down the rabbit hole.
Podcast ini akan nunjukin seberapa sotonya kita, so stick around. Podcast PPI Belanda, warna-warni suara anak bangsa.
During the attempt to put a handcuffed Floyd into the police car, the defendant pulled Mr. Floyd out of the passenger side of the squad car, held him with a knee to the neck.
Jadi kita akan ngebahas tentang kejadian ini sesuai dengan judul dari podcast ini adalah Diri atau Institusi gitu. Ini salah seorang oknum ya, atau sebenarnya ini masalah yang lebih besar gitu. Masalah yang ada di institusi yang diberikan kepercayaan oleh rakyatnya sendiri untuk menerapkan hukum yang akhirnya kepercayaan itu dieksploitasi ke ranah yang tidak seharusnya terjadi. So yeah, Abi, what do you think? Is it an institution or is it just an individual?
Okay, but what I was saying, like with the whole institution thing, like after like slavery like was abolished, yeah, it's a really drastic shift for society. Like if you come from the white side and you're saying, okay, I used to own these, niggas, and it's like now we have to live among them as equals. Like that's a really different shift, and like for sure, like it's gonna take a lot of time to get used to that. But if you're talking from the institution point of view, then they're gonna find loopholes in the present legislation to still kind of leverage neo-slavery. So the prison system is like one example,
Right.
where like you look at most of the prison population and it's like it's mostly minorities, right? And I think that this is kind of a remnant of this post-slavery kind of system, because like the way you can misuse that is say, okay, if we can't enslave people the way we used to, then we put them into prison and we get them to work for basically nothing in prisons, and that's like the next kind of evolution of slavery, in my opinion, because now you're just systematically targeting black and like minority people, and you're using this excuse of incarceration as a means for slavery.
It's interesting you mentioned slavery, because slavery is known for its dehumanization. We consider them as less of a human. There's this research that mentioned that dehumanization might be the cause of police violence. He started from stereotype of black criminality gitu. This stereotype is proven to be frequent, consistent, and automatic. In that case, these stereotype of black and criminality, it's not conscious in their decision making. It is something that they can't resist to have. They just have an association between black and criminality. And in the police force, there is attentional bias towards black faces. Police tends to have higher attention towards the face of a black person due to the criminality stereotype. And these racial biases exist even in a controlled environment. They have this experiment, they have this room where the police are isolated from other external sources. They're told to decide to shoot or not to shoot. Most of them shoot more to the black person and not other racial group. This signified that these police brutality keep on happening because as a policeman, their psychology told them that, you know, black person is a higher mortal threat than other racial group. It is aligned with dehumanization processes. Jadi karena kesamaan dari dua itu, dia berteori bahwa these things are related with one another. And since dehumanization is automatic, then it's quite inevitable that these police brutality keeps on happening because, you know, it's out of their control.
Yeah, but to say it's inevitable doesn't mean like, I don't know, like I feel like there needs to be some sort of reform because, you know, like this shit's only happening in the States, you know, like what's happening now in the States, it's like as an Indonesian person, for example, like it's not that uncommon, you know, like we had this shit last year, you know, like end of last year, like cops always brutalize our people in Indonesia, you know, and it's like this is kind of like common knowledge, like okay, yeah, don't fuck with the cops or they'll fuck with you back, you know, like that's the commonality like, in Indonesia.
That is actually, yeah.
So it's like this is already happening in third world countries such as Indonesia, and the fact that it's happening in first world countries, like it's shocking to people. America's kind of just like, yeah, playing this role, like it's saying, yeah, we should be the ones that you need to follow, but this is kind of the moment where everything's kind of falling apart. The government system is kind of showing all of its flaws, and like law enforcement system is showing all its flaws. I feel like 2020, like this year, it's really the year that like America is really starting to show like the rot that is underneath the fake like media veil, you know. Because in times like this, like how is that fair, you know? If you have cops beating the shit out of people, choking them to death, and you can't even defend your own people by, you know, fighting back because that's a crime. Like how is that, like how does that make sense, you know? Because when I see these videos, like, my natural reaction is to beat the shit out of the cop on top of George Floyd, you know? Like like that's another human being, you know. That's another way that like these white institutions, like they safeguard their foot soldiers. They say, okay, yeah, you can do whatever the fuck you want to these people on the streets, but if they do anything to you, you're safe. So this gives the white cops another sense of security. It's saying, okay, yeah, well, you know, I can beat the shit out of niggas, but like if they touch me, then like, you know, I can arrest them too. How's that fair? It's a two-way street.
Right. As an individual gitu, as sebagai rakyat biasa, how do we help this reform? Menurut gua reform can happen saat pelanggaran-pelanggaran kecil itu diberhentikan gitu. Jadi sebelum kita ke extreme factors, extreme circumstances like death in this case, we need to start from small changes. So these type of what do you call it? Deviant of police deviant is not rewarded gitu. I think personally at least, I think we need to start from knowing our rights. Jadi saat kita berurusan dengan aparat hukum, apa sih yang sebenarnya kita bisa lakukan? Proses hukum itu sebenarnya dimulai dari penyelidikan gitu, di mana polisi atau aparat hukum itu mengumpulkan fakta-fakta untuk mencari tahu apakah sebuah tindakan pidana terjadi. Dan kapasitas penyelidik itu boleh menanyakan identitas dan boleh menggeledah yang ada di badan. Jadi mereka nggak boleh menggeledah rumah atau segala macam, tapi mereka boleh menggeledah yang ada di badan. Dan makanya itu kalau kayak kita ngelihat acara-acara polisi di net atau segala macam, mereka bisa melakukan penggeledahan itu karena mereka mengumpulkan fakta. Apakah tindakan pidana, biasanya kalau di net kan tawuran warga atau apapun itu terjadi. Tapi mereka hanya bisa melakukan itu jika ada bukti awal yang cukup. Bukti awal yang cukup itu bisa termasuk pengaduan warga atau misalnya rekaman segala macam. Itu bisa menjadi bukti awal yang cukup untuk melakukan penyelidikan. Kalau kita lihat secara sekilas, kita kayaknya nggak punya hak-hak hukum gitu. Tapi sebenarnya kita punya hak-hak hukum yang jelas. Kita punya hak untuk equality before the law and right to be treated humanely and free from violence. Jadi kita diperlakukan secara manusiawi dan tidak melalui kekerasan gitu. Kita juga punya hak untuk a fair investigation and open examination. Jadi kita boleh membuka kasus ini ke publik gitu. Jadi nggak boleh sebenarnya ada proses-proses hukum yang di belakang layar. Kita punya hak untuk memberitahu bahwa kita sedang diproses secara hukum ke masyarakat luar agar mereka bisa mengobservasi proses tersebut. dengan mengetahui hak-hak kita apa, kita bisa memberitahu ke aparat hukum bahwa sebenarnya kita ngerti hukum gitu, bukan mereka doang yang ngerti. Dan dengan itu perlakuan polisi yang menyimpang tidak di reward secara positif gitu.
Like my question is, do the government follow these rules?
Well, in practice, not really. In fact, there's a lot of cases where these guidelines are not followed.
At the end of the day, if the parent government doesn't even respect them, then like, should we really give so much attention to it? You know, like, because how can we even enforce it against like our rights if the institution that is supposed to enforce it doesn't support that?
One example is actually one that around the actual Black Lives Matters campaign in Indonesia. I think it's more of a spin-off movement that not hitchhike but used the scale of the protest in America, the Papua Lives Matter campaign in Indonesia. Because that's how change happened, you know, nowadays. If we look back in Arab Spring, one revolution leads to another revolution in another country, all because of social media and how we connect with one another. And the narrative of Papua Lives Matter actually is quite a sensitive topic, you know, because there's two lines of protest: the separatist movement that wants West Papua to be free and have their own government, and those who actually just protest the violence that happened from our law enforcement group there in Western Papua. One post that actually got reposted a lot by influencers and artists alike was actually made by our friend from Kudeta magazine, and during the process they asked for my inputs, and we do find a hard time to build a precise narrative to critique only the violence that is happening and not be affiliated with any separatist movement. So it would make sense if you guys find a hard time to decide which narrative to support. So it's good to actually educate yourself better on this issue. So yeah, B, we've been only talking about dooms and glooms since the start of this podcast. What do you think is the light in the end of the tunnel for us all regarding the issues in the US and back home here in Indonesia?
I think the light at the end of the tunnel is that, yeah, we're aware of this. A couple of years ago, we were still under the illusion of, yeah, you know, all governments are lawful and like, you know, blah, blah, especially in the States, you know. Like a couple of years ago in the States, everything was kind of, you know, it was like before Trump, like during Obama, it was very like peaceful, you know. It was like, oh, we love our president, we love how we're doing now, we love that our president. It's like, you know, everything is like, you know, blue pill. It's complete blue pill, you know. But now, ever since Trump became president, red pill. It's kind of like Donald Trump is red pilling us in a way that's he's saying, look, you know, this is all just a game. If you can play it right, you can become president. And he demonstrated that, you know, because he saw, okay, you know, the way that they're doing the elections, it's so centered towards media, so centered towards entertainment. And I don't know if he's this smart or if he just won by a fluke, but what, like, Trump's presidency, in my opinion, is what was needed to rip off the illusion of clean politics, you know.